day and welcome to a new video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe! Heyo and welcome today. You're joined by me, Daniel, and today I'm painting part of page 3 for my book. It's going over like the third time I've gone over this. So you'll see me going over the third time of these paintings, these pages that I'm doing. I'm painting these scenes for this book. I'm doing the the last little parts of all this. And yeah, as you see me painting, I'll be talking to you about like finding your workflow, that kind of thing, that kind of whole conversation about that topic is what I'm talking about today. Yeah, so welcome to my channel. If you're new, I, am an illustrator and artist here in New Zealand who likes to kind of, I'm creating my own projects at the moment and painting those up. And I also get guest artists in on this channel as I talk to them, and I also have weekly tips that I do as well. So there's a lot going on in this channel, so feel free to, to subscribe if you enjoy these kind of videos. I give you advice from me working. There's a lot of advice I get from other artists around the world that I chat to. I get advice from them, get a lot of knowledge from them, and get to know them and things like that, make them friends, all sorts of stuff, which is really cool. It's really nice to kind of have this channel and have this channel live, with a lot of chats that we have. It's quite nice and interesting. I would like to have an artist in every week if I could, but with that it takes a little bit of trying to find an artist to chat to. Also, I do need a week or so every now and again to paint something different or just draw something for a live stream, or I just don't have the content, so yeah, I've got to do a live stream or something like that. And it gets challenging to find artists as well, because yeah, a lot of artists are busy people. They're busy with creating art and getting into the industry or being in the industry, and having families, all sorts of going on. It's really great to have people come in and sacrifice their time to come chat with me on these YouTube streams, and yeah, it's always enjoyable. I think one guy I talked to was Lucid Pixel, Adam Duff over Lucid Pixel channel. His channel went down not too long ago, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. His channel went down, and I was like, oh my gosh, really? Because I've been watching his channel for a couple of years or so now, and yeah, it's like really interesting that that happened to him. It's unfortunate, and he's got his channel back though. It's all back and ready to go, and it's quite cool to see. He's still making videos and still doing this thing, which is nice to see. And he's back online, and it looks like he's kind of redesigned as well a little bit, which is really cool. I remember, I think before he had his Lucid Pixel, I saw his I saw his channel before then, and then I saw his channel when he had this new design as well for his channel. So it's interesting to see now looks like a new one as far as I know. I think I haven't double checked it, but yeah, it was the last time I looked at it. I was like, okay, this is a little bit different to what I'm used to seeing. So it looked like it changed a little bit again. But yeah, it's nice to see him up back and running. And it's really cool because he commented on one of my videos. I was like, wow, really? I didn't expect it. Was just out of the blue, and it's surprising because I must have done alright with that video, or just the way I presented that video. I must have been alright with that video. That's the way it goes. Some videos are better than others, and that's only usually because just the there's no controlling it. There's only so much you can control. You can only control the type of equipment you use, um, the amount of preparation, and um, also the way you can prepare it. Some illustrators, artists, and YouTubers are very prepared. They know every word they're going to say, in what order, and they have their videos like broken up into like little sections, and these little things that they do really well. And there's others that are more laid back. A little bit. I'd say I'm a little bit more on that side, because I don't have all the time in the world, but I prepare as much as I can prepare. I've only got so much time to do some of these videos, and there's only so much preparing time I can do. With some of these um, videos that I've got going on now, like these weekly tips and things that I've got doing, and these ones here, the weekly streams that I chat about topics and talk with artists sometimes and things like that. Some of them I prepare for. For instance, with an artist, I prepare questions that I ask the artist, and half the time we get through all those questions. The other half of the times we don't get through many of the questions, maybe two or three. Like we really like talking about different subjects, and get going off like the first two questions or something. We don't really need a lot of questions. Others, yeah, we do need quite a few questions to keep the conversation going, and then things like that. Um, yeah, you gotta keep ball rolling. There's only so much you can do. Um, as well, with that, and with illustrating. Um, yeah, and that's yeah. So anyway, I was talking about finding your workflow. What's important about it, finding, your workflow, the way you work, and then what's the way you do things as well. I talked to you a little bit about that just now. The way I kind of prepare my YouTube videos, and my illustrations and things like that. I only do so much preparation for it. Um, there's I can write down my topic. Some weeks I have written down my topics, and written down as much as I can. I know about the topic, and um, trying to think of one that maybe um uh can't remember one that I did of those. I think um you know maybe I thought about one of them. Sometimes I think about them, and I think about getting an idea. Like today's one, I just kind of got the idea today, and I was like, okay, yeah, I could do that. It didn't really write it down today, unfortunately. I didn't have all the time in the world to do that. Sometimes I'm prepared, and I do, have the whole thing written down. And it's the same with writing the questions for the artist. I don't, read or write the whole thing. I write it all down, roughly what I want to say, and then, I kind of go from it. I kind of read it while I'm trying to present it, but it gets kind of hard to do that because, I present it differently, and then it's like, you don't know where to go from there because you don't know if you've said what's on your piece of paper. So, I found that was kind of challenging for me to keep doing that. Um, it's good though. It's good for me to do that because then I get, everything I kind of want to say, I get out there and said everything like that. But also with that, it may affect how I present it as well. Yeah, so it's a bit of good and bad in a way. Yeah, and you just gotta find what works for you. As yeah, same with illustration. For me, I tend to kind of work in a kind of like I get something done 50% and then I move on to the next thing to get it 50% and then keep going like that. Where some artists might get the, say in this piece here, they might get the fence kind of 100% complete. They won't have to finish the fence off. Then they do the grass, get the grass looking 100%, get the characters looking 100%. Do those things. And some, work on the background first, make the background look really fancy and everything, and finished and polished and everything, and then add their characters in, um, and work on the characters. Some people work like that, which can work well for them, and also, some people do the other way, do characters and then they add the um, background. The thing with that though, with like adding the backgrounds next, is that sometimes it can, if you do it wrong, it can feel a very um, kind of off for the piece sometimes. It's like adding ingredient that doesn't need to be there sometimes, or just the wrong ingredient. It's like adding that, adding some chili, unless you don't really like chili, or adding um, a bit too much spices, or something, um, something to your meal in a way. If you've got a really nice character, but then you go and try and add a background, but the background, maybe it makes no sense, or it just doesn't work with the piece, or it just really, the background looks bad but the characters looks really good, um, and that can be off-putting, which is something I've dealt with in the past, and yeah, I'm still getting there, with backgrounds, environments, and those kind of things. Those, yeah, have been my weak points, but I have kind of come past them, and now it's both as important. They all are important to me. I use it to storytell, so I've got to really work on both those elements. But it's the way I went about it too. For me, I was trying to draw, or trying to get better at creating and drawing, singular things. So, drawing a horse, or drawing a singular thing, and then backgrounds. I was working on that, so that's the way I kind of worked it out. Um, yeah. um, yeah. So something, yeah, definitely still working on. I think it's something I did mention in one of my last videos, where I had the artist in. I was talking about kind of um, trying to find the best workflow for me in a way. That was kind of what I was talking about. Um, and that it's always struggling for me. I don't know if any other artists struggle with it, or if let me know down in the comments if you do. I'm sure we all do, but yeah, finding the workflow that suits you can be really hard. It's always a changing thing. I don't say that I've got one workflow that works as well, one kind of way of doing things. There's always like different ways of doing things, that you can do. For instance, like I was talking about before, finishing off certain areas first and then moving on to the next area. That can work for some people that really well, and it may not work for others as well. I would say it can. In the past I have kind of used that, where I kind of finish a certain area of a painting, or a certain character or background elements or something, that I polish off till it's like finished, and then I move on to the next thing, and then keep going around that way. Um, the problem with that, though, I see, is the way you can, run into problems with it, is that you might feel like something's fully finished because you're calling it finished, um, and then you might miss something as well, but if it's really complicated piece, you might miss something anyway. Yeah, and working this way, doing, giving everything on the same level as you go, um, can be really good. I was mentioning before, I listened to what watched I read a magazine the other week, um, because I've been every now and again reading. I have Imagine FX magazines, and I got a little bit of a collection of them. Not too big a collection, but a fair collection of them. I decided, when I was at college, I decided to get like keep up with them and get like one a month almost. And I think 7 or 8 months I kept up for it. It was a fair bit, and every now and again I'll go back and get one or an art magazine, because I'm interested in looking at them and reading them and seeing the art that's in them and get inspired and everything like that. They're really awesome to read. But yeah, one that I've read lately, um, who was talking about his workflow and how he gets everything up to a certain level, so he works on everything, makes sure everything is 50% done, and then he goes and the next layer he gets everything 75% done. Next layer gets everything completely done. So he doesn't kind of finish one thing off and then move on to the next thing. He works as a whole in a way, which is, yeah, it can be really good to do it that way too, as a whole, because yeah, you're working. You want to really do that in a way. You want to work on it as a whole, your artwork as a whole, not make your character look really really good, or you know, and then the rest of the piece is lacking. It's always challenging, and finding the way that works for you is challenging too. Finding um, how many hours straight you can work, and um, what kind of works for you. Whether you can go 3 or 4 hours just painting straight and then still keep going, or you need to kind of, for me, I go in peaks and flows. I'm really concentrated at some points for 20 or 30 minutes or something like that. Then I am like slightly just thinking about the piece, where to go next. Might do something or something, you know. Then have a little break, whatever. Then another hour, 2 hours, or whatever I'm doing, how long it last, um, of working straight, concentrating on it and everything, and then slow down a little bit. I might do little touches here and there. That's kind of my workflow. Um, Others might just be able to chug along for the whole day, get tired, go to bed, carry on the next day. Um, but I'm definitely, for me, I'd definitely like up and down peaks and flows kind of a thing. I do try and kind of flatten the curve, I'd say, as much as I can. Try and keep kind of a steady pace going. But you don't want to run either. You don't want to just put all your effort into kind of a little bit of time. For me, that works because I've only got like a little gap of time. So, with that little gap of time, I put all my energy into that little gap of time and get as much as I can done in that little gap of time. So that works for me. But if you're going at this long periods of time, 8 hours a day for a whole week, then yeah, you definitely need to steady it off. Otherwise, you get tired. Um, you might get bored with the pace, or something like that might happen. You might get sore hands. I have gotten sore hands before. I in college, uh, UCOL, what they call it, university per se, somewhat. Um, I was drawing, I was painting for like, you know, 4 or 5 hours straight. Having lunch and things, but yeah, as soon as I've had lunch, come back and draw. It's only like 20, 30 minutes of eating or something, going back and drawing, coming home to draw a bit more, or paint a bit more, whatever, um, until like 10 o'clock at night, go to bed, keep drawing. Did that for like, 4 or 5, 6 days or something. So yeah, my hand got a bit sore by the end of the week. It was only like 2 or 3 days, and yeah, my hand was just getting sore. Um, there's things around there I could work on something else, for a little bit to try and, um, you know, not have so sore hand. Um, yeah, or just bear the pain and keep going. um, and yeah, this is more towards the end though, so there was an end to me painting. So I had to go, I had to keep going, and it was challenging to get through. But I put it my all into it and just kept going. What's quite interesting here, with this piece, is that I was looking at it before doing the stream, trying to get an image for to create my thumbnail, and it was interesting because I actually liked it, or Henry at least. Henry I was looking at. I liked Henry before all the edits, kind of a thing. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Before this layer, I go a bit further into this layer, and you can see that you might be able to see it at this stage. I'm not 100% sure if you see it, me painting it further. But it just, yeah, I guess I've lost a little bit in it, in keeping on painting it. So I feel like I have to go backwards a little bit to see what I had, and use a little bit of that to fix up me moving forward on it, basically, which is challenging to do. But yeah, that can happen sometimes. You do a bit of work on it. It doesn't always work out. The changes that you do, could be good. Some might be not so the best decisions in the world to do. Yeah, and since there's a lot going on in these pages, I've got a lot to deal with. Him sitting in the grass, the smell, Henry sniffing the kiwi fruit, and the fence, and making it look good, and also making it look like nighttime as well. All those come to effect. So it can, get a bit overwhelming at times. So it's just, sitting back and just doing what you can do. I think that's important to realize. Just get into it and just do what you can do, because you can get overwhelmed. I definitely have in the past, and I definitely still do it sometimes. Yeah, I'm like overwhelmed. I'm like, I've got so much to do here. What do I do? Especially picking up these pieces because it's been probably 6 months since I visited this piece before doing this. Um, you know, Picking up again it was definitely an overwhelming feeling. Like, how do I, fix this? I was like, okay, I can see why I would have, called it finished per se. Um, but yeah, it's definitely still needed something. So it can get overwhelming. But like, okay, where do I start? Where do I start doing this? And even like continue painting, it can get overwhelming like that. It's like where do continue this? Um, just keep going. It can be challenging. Yeah. So I would say this week I probably got a little bit less work done than last week. um, I would say possibly, maybe not. It's hard to say, but I do always try to get as much work as I can each week done. And I understand it's always going to be up and downs. Some weeks I will get more than others done. It just all depends on a lot of factors, really. The factors I can't control sometimes, and some factors I can control. There's only so much um, factors you can control, and that's the thing about it. You just gotta um, try and control the factors you can, really. Um, yeah. Like for instance, like gaming and things like that. I do enjoy playing games a bit. Um, but yeah, I do love painting as well, and just trying to find a balance of that too. Trying not to um, play games as much, and trying to find a way to work more, but in a nice manner, not being like you can't game um, or anything, but you can draw, in a nice manner, not like you can't paint because you want to game, or you can't draw, or you can't game because you want to draw. You gotta find a balance between it. It's a 50-50 thing, with any of your hobbies. It can be done, but some days I'm like, really, I've got to get this done, so I definitely don't game that day or that night. Other nights I'm a bit more relaxed. I'm like, oh, I have like 20 minutes or 30 minutes of game, and then get into it, you know. And it helps in both situations, just having that chill time for half an hour playing a game or whatever. Um, it just helps me to get into the mood of actually painting, and then after I've gamed and after I got into the painting, I'm sitting here for like 30-40 minutes straight painting. I'm not kind of dwelling on painting. I'm not like, oh, I have to paint. If I give myself a little bit of that release sometimes, um 20 30 minutes of just chillaxing or whatnot, and then come into painting, I'm more relaxed. I'm actually painting. It's not like if I not gaming or something, and try to force myself to paint. I just end up sitting there and being like, I want a game, or you're doing something like that, and it can kind of be a negative thing, doing it that way. Yeah. So I try and do as much as I can during the week, and with this channel, it has been forgiving because because I've done some live streams, which gives me like another week's to catch up, and I'm slowly catching up. I'm probably just keeping up with the videos at the moment. Excuse me. Going back probably 2 or 3 weeks, I was probably 2 weeks of videos ahead. Um, so yeah, it's up and down with that too. Some weeks I have, like I say, I've said a few times where sometimes I have 2 or 3 weeks worth of videos ready for me to use, to export and put on talk over and put onto YouTube. Where, you know, some weeks I'm just keeping up. I'll probably maybe just a week ahead at the moment. Actually, I just need to kind of polish and fully finish this piece, and then I'll be a week ahead. Um, but yeah, it's a challenge. I've got to actually finish this piece by next week. Um, but that motivates me too. A bit of a deadline. Deadlines, yeah, they give you a bit of that push. That's why my channel gives me that deadline. It's like, well, I've got to get this done by next week. So that gives me an opportunity to make a plan. And this goes for like client work or anything. You know, if you have a deadline, that's usually good motivation. Um, or you know, if you're doing university, you know, getting it in on time to get um, a pass or whatever you want to get, um, is definitely a big motivation. For me, at least, it doesn't work for everyone. You know, some people are less motivated to actually get it in, and they just don't really care too much. um, I don't know if people would do that with clients. I guess some people might do, but you know, definitely more for me. If I had a client, um, I would be more motivated to do it because yeah, I've got that deadline. It's got to be in by this day. Um, there's definitely, you know, no pushbacks. It's got to be out this day. Blah blah blah. You know, same with my YouTube. It gives me that deadline that I can be like, oh, it needs to be out this day. Therefore, I've got to have my page done by, or this painting done by this date. And usually there's no pushbacks, but sometimes I can give myself pushbacks. Um, for instance, if I do a live stream, that gives me a little bit of a pushback, um, things like that. But there's only so many of those live streams I can do. I can't, you know, I can't break up these videos because I'm doing part one, part two kind of a thing with them. So I can't be like part one, have a live stream, then part two. I don't want to do that, so there's only so much I can do with that too. And I don't want like my whole YouTube filled up with all these live streams as well. So it's just the live streams, where you know I don't have new videos, I don't have artists I'm chatting with, and these other videos that are coming out that I enjoy creating. So definitely, you know, got to keep up with it, and finding that workflow is interesting. Same with, you know, getting a video out for YouTube, getting it uploaded, um, you know, finding the times to do all that stuff um, can be a challenge too. For me, usually it's Tuesday morning for my weekly tips I put up to release on the Wednesday. So, you know, it only takes me 10-15 minutes on Tuesday, as long as I have everything there. So I've got the video exported, I've got the thumbnail ready to go, then it's only 10 or 15 minutes. Some weeks I get away with I haven't done the thumbnail, so I do the thumbnail and get it up, but usually I'm up early-ish to do that, and it's all good. I try my best to get up early for those days. Tuesdays, the day I kind of wake up early for it and do that. It's kind of the best time to fit in. It saves me having to do it on a Tuesday night or, you know, a Wednesday morning or Monday night or something like that, because, you know, that's cutting a little bit of time from actually painting and yeah, those other little bits and pieces I've got to do. So I mean, it's only 10 or 20 minutes, but that's 10 or 20 minutes I could have been painting. Where in the morning, you know, I'm not going to start painting because I know if I try in the morning, usually I have to finish or get off the computer as soon as I start. So that's why I got to keep it at night. But I, you know, I could do it again at some point. get up early to do a little bit of painting. It's possible. I've done it in the past, and it's worked for me in the past where, got up quite early, like 6 a.m. or something like that, and yeah, just got up, started painting at 6 a.m. And done probably an hour, 2 hours work, um, and then gone really got out the door for work and stuff like that. So it has worked in the past, um, and there's no stopping me in the future one day to do that again. Um, but for now, definitely doing a bit at the night time has worked for me. Doing a few hours here and there in the night. Mm. And yeah, I've definitely will find that. Yeah. And it's been years in the making for finding my workflow, finding what works for me, and it for all artists, I think it is. It definitely is takes you a while to find out, what your routine is, uh, if what kind of work flow is best for you, um, and yeah. For instance, I think Bobby Chio, he does a lot of his heavy thinking stuff in the morning, so getting all his ideas created, what he wants to paint, and all those big things that takes a lot of brain effort. Um, and then in the afternoons, uh, you know, he does a lot of his rendering, so finishes off piece a, a piece of artwork, and yeah, all that stuff. And that's that works for him, and that works for some people because um you have a lot more of your brain in the morning, so you do all those things that you use your brain with, and some of the opposite, some need a bit of coffee, a bit of waking up to get the flow of what they're doing, and then in the afternoon it kick starts, and they do all their brainy stuff. To put it simple. But yeah, some people it works the other way, so yeah, finding your workflow, what works for you, and trying new things as well. Um, like the whole waking up early thing, it worked for me for a little bit. And every now and again it can work. um, you know, Getting up early to um, do some painting rather than doing it at night, basically. Um, so go to bed a little bit earlier, something like that. It can work. It has worked for me before. Um, and who say it can't work for you? Wake up a few hours before you actually start work to do a little bit of your personal work, a little bit more painting, a bit more of your client work, whatever it is. Waking up a little bit early, um, and doing that stuff that's important to you. It doesn't have to be what you're working on. You could have done before where you do wake up early and do a little bit of your kind of personal work, and then um, you know, in your hours you have to do your client work, from 9 to something. It's great to do. I've done it with daily drawings. I used to do with daily drawings. Um, I used to before I went to my university, college. I would first. I'd either do it when I was at college, or I would do it when I was at home, dependent on when I woke up and you know when I was heading there. It all depends. And when I actually had class, because some days you didn't have your first period or something like that. I don't know how it worked. I can't remember. Sometimes you have like a your first class or whatever wasn't until a certain time. Some days mostly usually you started on 9 o'clock most mornings. Um, but yeah, it depends. Usually, I would do it before class. So I'd get to class by 8:30 and get my drawing done. And that was, my morning to do that drawing before I fully started um, course for the day. And that was my daily drawing. That's what kind of kept me going because it was definitely a good thing to keep drawing because with um, with course I wasn't exactly drawing every day because there were other classes and other things I was doing in that course like design work, which um you know some involved drawing, but sometimes it was sitting on the computer um changing some things up and playing with things. But I definitely, I definitely didn't get to draw every day. There were some good periods where I get to draw straight for a whole month or something like that. But there's always some downs. It's the same with nowadays. With nowadays I don't get to paint exactly every day, but I do get other things that I get to do, like the I get 4 drawings that I do each week that I'll put up on my Instagram. So that keeps me going, and other little things, every now and again I might draw from reference, those little things, and it does all help to keep you going, and just finding a way to keep you going. So hopefully, all you guys have listened to me, what I've had to say. I've chatted about finding your workflow, what works for you, finding what makes your work keeps going, more productive, the most productive you can be, without kind of you know just digging yourself in a hole or anything like that. Um, trying to find what works for you, the best workflow that you can find. Obviously not the most kind of tiring though, but something that works really well. Um, so hopefully you guys experiment and try to find something that does work for you. Yeah, I hopefully you did enjoy this video. You've seen me paint part of page 3, so hopefully you did enjoy seeing that. Um, yeah, just let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this video, anything you'd like to say. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.